Thank you for taking the time to look at this presentation. So essentially all I've done is put a little PowerPoint pack together in regards to the making of the face shields that I've recently done, helping the local community with the PPE shortage. So the reason I've done it is really if anyone else out there has got a 3D printer and they're interested in doing this themselves, then they can just see what I've done basically, and happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. So step one of the 3D printing was actually putting the machine together. So it took me a number of weeks really to get hold of one because they quickly were selling out online. I finally managed to get a Ender 3 printer, as it's called, from Amazon, and it cost about £230. One of the tips I've included there is making sure that you unscrew the base bolts when you first get it to make sure that the base is level. That's one of the key elements when it comes to 3D printing, is making sure everything is square and that everything is level. The next step then for me was setting it up in regards to the printing and the print settings. Before you do that though, again, you have to level the bed. So you might be able to see that little cog there on that base. You use them on each corner to raise or lower the base to ensure that the nozzle, when it runs along, is level throughout the print. During the print, you can actually adjust the settings using that knob where that LCD screen is. Adjusting that, you can look at the temperature, the speed, and so on, just to tweak your prints as you're doing it. There it is, just in action there. Before I go any further then, I suppose quickly, what is 3D printing? So using my lingo, it's basically the process of melting plastic, PLA, as I use, by extruding it through a hot nozzle. It's a bit similar to a glue gun in a lot of ways, and as it goes across, it will leave a layer of that material, and over time it builds up those layers to create that model that you want. Now, there's lots of different types of material, from the plastic to wood, there's ceramic, there's glow in the dark, there's flexible plastic. They all require slightly different settings, which is important to learn, because otherwise you just end up wasting material. The material I'm using at the moment, that blue one there in the picture, it costs around £30, and I estimate that I can print about 40 full face masks with that material. So the face shield design, I didn't design it myself. It's from an open source online library from a number of people who've been involved with the design and make of it. It's been approved by the NHS. Doctors and nurses on the front line have used this design, and they've helped tweak it and improve it over time. So I've adopted it, and I'm using that same design, so I know that it works essentially. Even though I didn't make the design, you still have to make sure it works for your printer. Every printer is slightly different, so it's important to adjust those settings. One of the common reasons that you have to abort some prints is often it's not sticking to the bed very well, and that can be because of unseen oils and materials. So you scrape it off, but you're using your hand to scrape it. If you don't clean it correctly, then a bit of oil from your skin can interrupt that print. So it's important to keep that bed very clear. So we've done that, we got the design, we started to produce the plastic element of the face shield. Now typically I print 2 at a time, that you can see on that bed there, and it'll take about 3.5 hours for that print to take place and for it to finish. So in a typical day I tend to do 3 lots, allowing me to produce 6 plastic elements of the shield. Now I do work from home, I am a financial advisor, some of you might be aware, so I do this in between writing reports, speaking to clients, because unfortunately it's something that you have to nurse. You can't just click print and it does everything for you. Along the way something might happen, the settings might need changing, you might need to abort, restart, or pause the print, so you've got to keep your eye on it. And typically, you know, every 20-30 minutes I'll just be going in, making sure that it's printing okay, because if you don't do that you'll end up wasting your time, but more importantly I suppose you'll waste your material as well, because you know, extruded plastic can quickly you know, rack up a bill for you if it's going to be wasted. Now in between all this, I'm very conscious about keeping everything clean, so I do disinfect the plastic elements and clean it as I go to make sure that, you know, they're as safe as they human possibly can be from my own sort of production standards. Next step then is creating elastic straps to keep it to your head. Again, I sourced this online, 45mm elastic, which goes through those loopholes. For about £10 I can get about 25 of those straps, and I cut them at 45 centimeters long, and I quickly used that turbo flame there just to burn the ends to stop them fraying, because when I first put one in I noticed that they were fraying while I was putting through those loops, so just burning the ends quickly fixes that problem. I suppose last step then really is clear acetate. So I use A4 acetate, and I use it landscape way, and they're about 75p a sheet at the moment. I've noticed again that the cost of materials, the plastic, the elastic, if you can get hold of them, they've certainly gone a bit more expensive over the last few weeks, and potentially I can see that trend carrying on. So I've got a little stock, so I'll produce as many as I can, but clearly I'm subject to what I'm able to get hold of. The 240 micron there, that's just the thickness of the plastic. So to be honest, you could probably do with 250, 260, but I just couldn't source any. 240 was the best, and beyond that then it was too thick to be a useful material. And there it is, the finished design, the finished full face shield. I've just done some stats because I do like my stats, and as a financial advisor I suppose I just can't help myself. So I've worked out the estimated cost per item, excluding my labour and excluding the initial printer outlay and the maintenance of that printer, is about £2.10 per shield. That's including a little charge for electric, because everything is heated, so there's going to be an element there. But including the printer cost, if I average it out over 100 shields, which was my initial target, I estimate the cost per shield then to be about £4.40. Now this has been fully funded by my business, Celtic Financial Planning, as a donation to the local community, just trying to help out. There's a shortage out there which I'm trying to plug slightly, and then money is going very quickly in lots of different areas at the moment, so if we can just help a little bit, that was my big goal. So that's it really, my production of a full face shield. Thank you for taking the time to view this. Hopefully some of you might be inspired to get a 3D printer yourself, and maybe you can get involved. I'm trying to encourage a couple of people to help increase my production at the moment, because the current information that I've got is the very much needed. So yeah, once again, thanks for your time, and thanks for viewing.